Hello everyone, this is Connors12 with Conrock Productions, and people, welcome to today's video. Clicking on this video is not what you guys expected at all, trust me. So I'm actually going to be summarizing a book from the Bible. It's Daniel. So guys, before you click out, don't do it yet. Hear me out. Just let this video play, just listen to it. That's all you have to do. Trust me, it's actually going to be pretty crazy. You're going to learn some stuff. You're going to be like, wow, that's actually really interesting. There's a lot of stuff that is like prophesied that has actually happened. So stick around. Hear me out. Listen. Alright, we're just going to dive in. And actually, before we dive in, if you guys can like, subscribe, comment down below, that helps me out a lot. Appreciate you guys. Here we go. So in the third year of the reign of the king of Joachim of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar, who is a horrible guy, you'll learn of him through this, of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and laid siege. He completely took it over, occupied it. He removed all of the belongings of the house of God, and then he moved in his own and put his own idols and his own gods in there. So after occupying Jerusalem, so the king ordered his chief eunuch to bring some of the Israelites from royal families and nobility. They had to be young men with no physical defects, good looking, suitable for instructions in all wisdom, knowledgeable, capable of serving. So these guys were hand-picked. They were taught the Chaldean language and literature. The king assigned them daily provisions from the royal food and from wine that he drank. So he's really taking care of these people. They were trained for 3 years, and at the end, then they would attend the king. Among them from the Judaites were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. The chief eunuch gave them names. He gave them names of Belshazzar to Daniel, Shadrach to Hananiah, Meshach to Mishael, and then Abednego to Azariah. Daniel was actually very determined, and he would not defile himself with the king's food or wine, so he didn't eat or drink any of it. God has actually granted Daniel kindness and compassion from the chief eunuch, so he was able to talk to him and ask if he could actually get vegetables and water instead. The chief eunuch was actually very scared and said no, that the king would find out, because the other young men his age, of course, they would look more healthy. If he's just eating vegetables and water, he's going to look super thin and not as healthy as the rest. And so Daniel still was able to talk him into it and said, you know, give us 10 days, and after 10 days, if we look different, then, you know, by all means, you know, do what you have to do. But after 10 days, they looked as healthy as the rest of the men. So God gave these 4 young men knowledge and understanding in every kind of literature and wisdom. Daniel also understood visions and dreams of every kind as well. So their time is ended, so they were presented to the king. The king interviewed them and found that no one was equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, or Azariah. So they began to attend the king. So in every matter of wisdom and understanding that the king consulted them about, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and mediums in the entire kingdom, which is crazy. In the second year of his reign, King Nebuchadnezzar had really bad dreams and was sleep deprived. The king actually called all the magicians, mediums, sorcerers, and Chaldeans to come to interpret his dream and to actually even say, like, what is my dream? He said to them, I had a bad dream and I'm anxious to understand it. The Chaldeans spoke up and they were like, tell us your dream so we can interpret it. But he said, King Nebuchadnezzar said back to them, my word is final. If you don't tell me the dream and its interpretation, you will be torn limb from limb and your house will be made a garbage dump. But if you make the dream and its interpretation known to me, you'll receive gifts, a reward, and great honor from me. So make the dream and its interpretation known to me. They answered a second time, may the king tell the dream to his servants, and we will make known the interpretation. The king replied, I know for certain you are trying to gain some time, because you see that my word is final. If you don't tell me the dream, there is one decree for you. You have conspired to tell me something false or fraudulent until the situation changes. So tell me the dream, and I will know you can give me its interpretation. The Chaldeans answered the king, no one on earth can make known what the king requests. Consequently, no king, however great and powerful, has ever asked anything like this from any magician, medium, or Chaldean. What the king is asking is also so difficult that no one can make it known to him except the gods whose dwelling is not known with mortals. Because of this, the king became violently angry, gave orders to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. The decree was issued and the wise men were to be executed, including Daniel and his friends. So Daniel responded to this tact, asking the king's officer, who was ordered to execute them, why is this decree from the king so harsh? Then the officer explained the situation to Daniel. So Daniel went straight to the king. He actually went to the king and asked if he could give him some time so that he could give the king the interpretation. Daniel went to the house last night and told his friends to pray to God to reveal this mysterious dream. The mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision at night, and Daniel praised the God of heavens and declared, "May the name of God be praised forever and ever for wisdom and power belonging to him. He changes the time and seasons. He removes kings and establishes kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. I offer thanks and praise to you, God of my fathers, because you have given me wisdom and power, and now you have let me know what we asked of you, for you have let us know the king's mystery." That is so powerful to me. That is just amazing. So Daniel went to the officer and told him that he needs to see the king right away. After that, Daniel ran to the officer to take him to the king. As he approached the king said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, "Are you able to tell me the dream I had in this interpretation?" Daniel answered, "No wise man, medium, magician, or diviner is able to make known to the king the mystery he asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has let King Nebuchadnezzar know what will happen in the last days. The revealer of mysteries has let you know what will happen. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me not because I have more wisdom than any living, but in order that the interpretation might be made known to the king, and that you may understand the thoughts of your mind. Your Majesty, as you were watching, suddenly a colossal statue appeared. That statue, tall and dazzling, was standing in front of you, and its appearance was terrifying. The head of the statue was pure gold. Its chest and arms were silver, its stomach and thighs were bronze, its legs were iron, and its feet were partly iron and partly fired clay. As you were watching, a stone broke off without a hand touching it, struck the statue on its feet of iron and fired clay, and crushed them. Then the iron and the fired clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were shattered and became like chaff on the summer's threshing floors. The wind carried them away, and not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream. Now we tell the king its interpretation. Your Majesty, you are King of Kings. The God of the heavens has given you sovereignty, power, strength, and glory. Wherever people live, or wild animals, or birds of the sky, he has handed them over to you and made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. Which is actually really crazy, because I'm going to put this up on the screen real quick. So this statue represents all these empires. So the head was Babylon Empire, gold. The breastplate and arms was the Median and Persian empires, which was silver. The belly and thighs of brass was the Macedonian Empire. The legs of iron was the Roman Empire. And then the feet and toes of clay, kingdoms that arose after the fall of the Roman Empire. And they were scattered. They were all over the place. But this is prophecy fulfilled. It is absolutely phenomenal, and for this book to be written way before those times even happened just blows me away. The king fell face down and worshiped Daniel. He actually gave orders to present an offering and incense to him. The king said to Daniel, "Your God is indeed God of gods, Lord of kings, and a revealer of mysteries. Since you are able to reveal this mystery," then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many generous gifts. He actually made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon and chief governor of all the wise men of Babylon. He actually even made Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to manage the provinces of Babylon. And Daniel remained at the king's court. So after times passed, King Nebuchadnezzar actually made a gold statue. It was 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. He set it in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to assemble to everybody that they need to come and worship this statue. So the herald proclaimed, "People of every nation and language, you are commanded, when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, drum, and every kind of music, you are to fall on your face down and worship the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. But whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire." So the Chaldeans actually took this occasion to come forward with malicious accusation of the Jews. They were actually telling King Nebuchadnezzar that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego actually aren't bowing down to this statue, and because of this, they need to be thrown in the furnace. King Nebuchadnezzar was furious. He went up to them and asked them, "Is it true that you don't serve my gods or worship the gold statue I have set up? Now, if you're ready when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, drum, and every kind of music, fall down and worship the statue I made. But if you don't, you will immediately be thrown into a furnace of blazing fire." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, "We don't need to give you an answer to this question. If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. But even if he does not rescue us, we want you as king to know that we will not serve your gods or worship the gold statue you set up." Like, that is a lot of faith to seriously right then and there either just simply bow down to this gold statue or die. Like, that is very intense. It's a lot of courage. So Nebuchadnezzar was filled with rage, and he gave the orders commanded from some of the best soldiers in his army to tie him up and throw him in. The furnace was so hot, it actually killed the men who threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace. After they got thrown in, King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in alarm. He said to his advisors, "Didn't we throw 3 men bound into the fire?" "Well, yes, of course, Your Majesty," they replied to the king. He exclaimed, "Look, I see 4 men not tied walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the door to the furnace of blazing fire and called, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of the Most High God, come out." So they came out. When the 3 came out, they saw that nothing was affected on them. Not a hair was singed, their robes were unaffected, and there was no smell of fire on them either. Nebuchadnezzar exclaimed, "Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued his servants who trusted in him." They violated the king's command and risked their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I issue a decree that anyone of any people, nation, or language who says anything offensive against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be torn limb from limb and his house made a garbage dump. For there is no other God who is able to deliver like this. Then the king rewarded Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.